tuning in once again. And today I wanted to bring some more awareness to you guys and some more love, of course, because it's always about love. Everything consists of love. And I wanted to talk about 3 major types of mind. The last one is not really mind, but I'll get to that. And basically I just wanted to talk about the egoic mind, the logical mind, and the true self. And I want you to maybe even watch this video over and over again so you can grasp when it comes to making decisions. I know that I had a very hard time sometimes, and I see it all the time in other people, understanding how to make decisions and understanding how our own self works, because we do have different methods of thinking. So this is basically just bringing you a little bit of awareness to understanding how you operate, basically. So I really want to start with the egoic mind, and basically that one is kind of not so hard to figure out, right? It is based on the ego, and I'm not going to touch so much on the ego itself. That's going to be a whole other video. But when it comes to the egoic mind, it's basically it's the mind that is conditioned by the past, meaning the things that happened to you in the past, whether they're good or whether they're bad. And a lot of them, it's based on fear, so it has a lot to do with the unfortunate things that happened to you in the past. And actually that hinders you from growing, because you kind of stay within your own bubble, and it doesn't let you kind of grow. And it's basically to make it a little bit simpler for you guys, it is basically the attachment to things, the identification of yourself with certain things. And when people say, oh, those are my toys, or that's my favorite shirt, those are my things, and my this, and my lifestyle, that comes from the egoic mind, and you are speaking from that. And a lot of advertising agencies get a kick out of that, because that is how they make money. They induce you into thinking that you need to buy these external things that you can identify with and feel good about yourself. And this is all based on materialism, and it's based on fear as well, because it can hinder you from letting go. It can hinder you from understanding that sometimes you need to take a step back to take 5 steps forward. And this happens a lot whenever we are downgrading into something. We become very resistant to that current. But sometimes we need to go through that. And when you feel like you're resisting change, that is all coming from your egoic mind. When you're resisting change, you have to understand that is fear-based. So just make sure that you bring that awareness into yourself. Oh wait, it could go either way. I'm making or I'm not making this decision from fear, from lack of losing something. And money is one of our biggest egoic things that we fear. Nobody wants to be left out on the street, especially if you grew up in a poor household where things just weren't readily available for you, or you grew up in a household where you lost a lot of your own things, and you lost that identification with yourself. As an adult, you don't want to lose that, so you become fearful of that. And then sometimes we just make the wrong decisions when it comes to all those things, okay? And that is also where addictions come from. When you have to have something, when you have to have something to compensate for something else. That is all actually based on our base chakra, on our root chakra. And basically, going back to the root chakra, which I already did a video about that, I definitely suggest you guys watch it. It's called Chakras 101. But it's all about feeling secure and feeling cared for. And when you don't feel that way, when you don't grow up feeling that way, which we all have that. It's a part of us. It's a part of growing within who we truly are. There are many parts in our childhood that we didn't feel secure, but basically when we grow up feeling that way, we tend to develop these egoic attitudes about life and who we are. So just remember that. And I mean, even expensive expensive clothing designers, they get a kick out of that because they portray this whole item for you to buy, and it's exclusive and it's expensive, and that gives you a sense of identity and exclusivity, meaning a sense of uniqueness. But at the end of the day, you're spending a whole bunch of money to feel that way. So just remember that it is all about the external world, but there's so much more going on with yourself. And that brings me to the next one, which is a little less a little less crazy, I can say, and a little less, actually, if anything, I call it boring. And it's the logical mind, the problem-solving mind. And our modern technology is basically based on all of this, except that we have this thing of taking it home with us. And what I mean that we have this thing of taking it home with us is that we bring it into our interpersonal and personal relationships. We do this all the time, especially people that work with their left brain, which is a lot of us. I mean, every single one of us works with our left brain, but there are some people that, you know, consultants, analysts, accountants, bankers, we all work with our left brain. And I mean, I can honestly say, like, basically, I'll put one out there, the people that are analysts, they are some of the people that can have the hardest time finding relationships because they take their work home with them. They go on a date and it's like an interview. Oh, do you have this? Check. Do you have that? Check. Do you have the car? Check. Do you have the career? Check. You know, personality? Check. Hobbies? Check. Check, 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 or no check. Oh no, you see, you didn't have that one. Oh, sorry, I can't date you. No, you're not thinking with your heart here, or at least you're not relaxed. How about that? You're interviewing the poor guy or the poor girl and you're not relaxed. Men are a little bit more softer when it comes to these things because men are visual, so girls can get away with it. Just, you know, just get yourself a boob job and you got away with it. But that comes from the egoic mind anyway. So basically that's, you know, I mean, that affects us every day, but people that work with their left brains, that really affects them. And I'm just trying to bring some awareness, especially people that are just, of course, this is all about self-development and just being better, a better version of who you are. So yeah, also when you make a decision and it leaves you feeling empty, oh my goodness, that is all the logical mind. And then you say to yourself, oh, but wait, but that was the right thing to do. No, that was the logical thing to do, but it didn't feel right for you, right? Because it left you feeling empty. Whatever decision it was, just remember that. The logical mind, what sucks about the logical mind is that it takes away your human way of being, your humanness, I don't know if you want to call it. You know, sometimes when you make decisions and it's always, well, I have to follow the rules. And it's like, no, what about your own way of thinking? What about your emotions? What do your emotions tell you? So just think of it like that, okay guys? And then the last one, of course, is my favorite one, your true self. Yay, the true self, which is pretty much the hardest one to identify. And I think this is a lifelong journey, and this is where compassion comes in because you're not always going to get it right. In a nutshell, what I say about the true self is that it's what you really want. But not only is it what you really want, because the ego can get in the way with that one, is what you really want without any obstacles. Best case scenario of whatever it is that you're going through, whatever decision that you have to make, what do you really want out of it? That's it. You can say, well, it's your, another way of saying it is, it's your true heart's desire. But you see, that one I find tricky. That one I find tricky because sometimes we don't know what our true heart's desire is. We don't understand the difference. We are in a panic, or we are just not sure in any way possible. By the way, if you're in a panic, if you feel like you need to solve something right now, that's usually your ego. That's usually your ego reacting to whatever situation that is happening. Because your true self doesn't operate from panic. Your true self operates from softness. That's it. So people that are going through such bad situations, such terrible situations, and they keep it together, that means that they're really operating from their true self. And that doesn't make the situation any easier. It just means that they have control of their emotions and they understand what is it that they have to do, and they're following their heart. So I suggest, if you know somebody that is like that, somebody that keeps it together, and what I mean by keeping it together also is like not holding it in, because when you hold something in, that's unhealthy. So when people keep it together is that there could be a storm going on, there could be a lot of things happening to them, or a lot of changes, and they're not screaming, crying, or acting as if they're the victim. When people act that way, again, that comes from the egoic mind, the ego self, okay? So your true heart's desire, basically just talk to yourself and just ask yourself, what would be the best case scenario for this issue? What is it that you truly want out of this issue? And sometimes you can say, well, I really just wanna stay, or I really just, I don't wanna get fired, or I wanna stay in the relationship, or I wanna be respected. Okay, but what do you really want with staying at your job or not getting fired? What do you really want out of this? I shall say, like, well, what I really want is to feel good about myself. What I really want is for other people to really respect me. That's why I don't want to get fired. If I didn't have any of these circumstances surrounding me, any of these obstacles, that's what I really would want. I want respect. So then now you're getting somewhere. That is your true heart's desire. So after that, once you figure that out, then you have to align yourself to respect yourself from within. Like that, your external can reflect your internal. And that's it. It takes time. Of course it takes time. But your external will eventually reflect the internal, because that is how you feel about yourself. So another way of putting it, and I think this is the simplest terms possible, is your true self is thinking without obstacles. That is what it is in a nutshell. Understanding what you really want if there was nothing in your way. What is it that you want? That is the question. And I'm gonna leave it like that, guys. Thank you so much. I hope I brought some awareness for you. I definitely suggest, if you're really in search of bettering yourself, in bringing self-awareness, is watch my video on self-awareness. And you know where you can reach me. Like this, comment, share, talk about it, give me suggestions, anything you like. Okay guys, thank you so much. Mwah. Have a beautiful day. Bye.